Let's get a quick take on the discovery this week from an EPA report that the agency did not check the rising pressure in the Gold King mine due to budget and time constraints. Patty Cahoon from Westward, I realize it's not an exact science when it comes to all the different mines we have in Colorado, but we hear things like budget and time constraints, and there was something like 14 months between they found that out and the actual disaster. What was your reaction to this report?
A lot of official butt covering. There is no excuse for what happened up there. We found out now they had warnings last year. They had warnings 10 years ago from the mine owner. So now you discover photos are disappearing from the EPA website. It took a big fight to get the documents out. The more we find out about what led up to this, the less we're going to like it.
David Kopel from the Independence Institute and DU Law School. When you're seeing reports like this, and with your legal background, do you think it's going to end up as a pretty big fight for us to get more information that we need as citizens about the situation?
Oh, of course, it's been a huge fight. The Associated Press, as Patty was saying, had to work very hard, and then EPA finally obeyed the Freedom of Information Act at 10:30 Eastern Time on Friday night. The Congressional Committee investigating has been obstructed. So now we say, is this the time at which we say we want EPA to take over all the water in Colorado? I would suggest not. And kudos to Attorney General Kaufman, who was part of a 13-state lawsuit that won a preliminary injunction from the Federal District Court in North Dakota last night, saying that EPA's proposed plan to take over drainage ditches, intermittent streams, isolated ponds, waters that have always been under the control of the state of Colorado, is illegal and an unconstitutional power grab, because supposedly these relate to the navigable waters of the United States, like the Mississippi River, which under the federal interstate commerce power, Congress does have some power to control. But without Congress, EPA is attempting to claim control over essentially all the water under the United States, because supposedly that affects the navigable waters, which is true in the same sense that if a sparrow flaps its wings in Siberia, that affects the future of the Mexican government, but not really much of a genuine connection.
The EPA's butterfly effect, I like it.
Yeah.
Natasha Gardner, senior editor at 5280 Magazine. What was your reaction when you heard this latest report?
Well, not really surprised, and that's the problem. I think the EPA gets a lot of goodwill, just sort of a general pass by the public. Like, they're the EPA, what could they be doing wrong? They're helping the environment. But it couldn't be more obvious in this situation that the watchdog actually needs a watchdog at times, particularly when a river turns the color of carrot soup. I mean, that's not good for our environment. I think the problem is that even if they had paid better attention to the warnings, I'm not sure the funding would have happened. I think in our culture, too often we have to wait for those flood waters to cascade down and ruin our waterways or destroy them at least for a week before we do something. The question would be, how could we better have found that out and done something about it and funded it properly?
And Attorney Jessica Peck, it is fantastic to have you back. It's been a while since we have you on the CIO panel, so thank you for being here. Wrap it up for us.
I think we need to get people rioting in the streets. And the way that we do that is we follow the lead of Attorney General Kaufman and we put it in terms that people can understand. The EPA getting into every sort of waterway, just like Dave was saying, is a very dangerous thing. That means that every time we have a light rail station, every time we have somebody's lake and they want to put some sort of commercial or community development there, that everything will be stalled. We cannot trust the EPA. This is just another chapter of meet the new boss, same as the old boss. It doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, who's in the White House. We need it, just as Natasha said, to have somebody there watching the watchdog.